So Nia Long is sick of it all, right? She's waited all this time quietly, patiently, humbly, as she had to go through the whole thing with Ime Udoka, and the media had no sympathy for her being dragged through this whole situation, but they all wanted to protect that white woman's name from the whole thing, right? But they didn't have no sympathy for her. Let's go to Hip Hop DX to see what Nia Long had to say.
Snoop Dogg has shown support for Nia Long after she publicly addressed Ime Udoka's alleged mistress for the first time. Nia put her ex's alleged side piece, Kathleen Lynch, along with his former employer, the Boston Celtics, on blast in an Instagram post on Tuesday, September 26. Underneath a clip of author Glennon Doyle's We Can Do Hard Things podcast, Nia wrote, "Where was this level of awareness a year ago at Celtics? Hashtag Kathleen Lynch." In the clip, Dr. Yaba Blaze speaks about the lack of empathy for Black women compared to their white counterparts.
Most of us are moved by white tears because we don't actually think they're real. It's a performance. It's a switch that you turn on because you know that we have been socialized to see you as more human and of more value. So whatever it is you think and whatever it is you feel, we are supposed to respond to it. Y'all don't respond to Black women crying the same way.
In the comment section of the post, Snoop Dogg shared his thoughts and he let Nia Long know that he has her back throughout this tough time. Snoop wrote, "Accountability to my sis and nephews. Retribution is in order. I stands with you, Nia Long. I got your back." Nia also added some additional thoughts in the comment section, writing, "Thank you at Yaba Blay for your fearlessness and speaking facts for all of us. This is such an important conversation that needs to be heard and understood."
And so, just like the wonderful young lady said, people just don't respond the same to Black tears as they do to white tears. And the Karens know this. That's why when they are having a conflict or they're making a conflict out of thin air, they know when it's time to turn the waterworks on to get over the hump, to get their way. Right? It's kind of like, oh, trying to, they don't know if they're going to be able to get their way. Cry, fall all out on the floor, all that. Because they just know that the public, responds differently. When you run a news story, Patrice O'Neal used to do a joke about this. It was a white woman missing at sea. He was like, they spent $500,000 tax money looking for this white woman, right? Searching for her. Up, down, left, right. He was like, it was some Black players, footballers that got lost at sea. He was like, man, they just went, they went to the edge of the beach like, no, I don't see him. The winds are too strong. We ought to call off the search. I don't see him. You know what I'm saying? Then he talk about he like, man, if I ever go sailing, I'm gonna take a white baby with me on a keychain to make sure they come and find me. We just know that the way the media responds to white folk and the way they respond to Black folk is just different. You know what I'm saying? And we can see that in the Ime Udoka, Nia Long, and Kathleen Lynch situation. Because while everybody was so gung-ho on protecting this white woman's name, Malika Andrews went on Stephen A. Smith's show and tried to check. Stephen A. Smith had to check Malika. Like, I don't know, who was you talking to? Because what we're not going to do is reveal the name of the woman and we're going to protect women and all this. Pump the brakes, baby. And what Stephen A. Smith was pointing out was that it was the Boston Celtics' fault for wafting this story out there and then being surprised when all of the media asked the first question that came to everybody's mind, who did he cheat with? They could have kept this in-house and never let it see the light of day and saved everybody, including Nia Long, all this embarrassment. You understand what I'm saying? But the Celtics were irresponsible by putting this story out there with limited information and then getting mad when people start to dig up and try to find out who the lady was. Jalen Rose asked the question like, well, we know Ime Udoka cheated and, we talking about Nia Long and dragging her through there, but why can't we know the name of the woman he cheated consensually with? They went to commercial break, came back. Jalen Rose had apologized. I like to say, I'm sorry. to all the people. I've now investigated and now I know what I should have done. Over commercial break, they made him apologize. But everybody was so stuck on not naming this woman, but they didn't care about constantly mentioning Nia Long, dragging her through. Like, Nia Long was already in it because Ime Udoka cheated. It was his fault that she was in it. But it also should have been the same on the white woman counterpart's side. It's his fault, but it's her fault. This white woman is at guilt. And she can't be mentioned in this situation. She was the only one married, by the way. She married with kids. Ime and Nia Long were engaged for 7 years. Never married, though. They had a baby together. Never married, though. So she is one of the two people that is at fault. Nia Long has to catch all these stray bullets being dragged in the media, being talked about every day in the media. She just wants to, I'm sure, just be out of the media, be left alone because she's been cheated on. It's hard enough to go through. Is she going to get back together? Is she not going to get that back together? What are we going to do about the baby? They got a baby together. You know, kids. They got to figure out how that's going to work. You know, all of that is enough, right? But as much as she's been dragged through the mud, you mean to tell me that the woman that made a consensual decision, a calculated decision to cheat on her husband and step out on her family is not going to be named because of her white privilege? That's baffling to me. It's baffling to me. But we understand that the media works like this. But a lot of white people don't want to hear that. But the proof is in the pudding. You understand what I'm saying? Proof is in the pudding, man. We don't make this stuff up. It just, that's how it happens. But you know, like I said, everybody, it's just, it needs to change. It needs to change for sure. Because a lot of times when black folk is going through things, it just is never viewed with the same sympathy as when white folk go through it. You know, it's always an extra added layer of care in how things are worded. I remember when, I don't know what was going down, but something that happened, people was looting. And the way they described the black folk looting was obvious as to how they always describe it. They're animals. They're savages. Which is understandable. I mean, they looting, right? But when they showed the white folk, it was like, oh, they didn't even call them looters or rioters. They just automatically assumed they must be going through something. You know, we don't know what may have caused them to have decided to let it come to this. But we pray for them. Like, man, wait. But you just came from, y'all was just showing the black folk, you ain't had no sympathy for them when they were savages, animals, ignorant, and all the above. So Nia Long is obviously sick of the hypocrisy, you know, as far as how her and her family was handled in this debacle, as opposed to how Kathleen Lynch and her family was handled in this debacle. It's just, you know, it's not fair, and it's not journalism. Because I guess if y'all going to be fair in reporting the news, then report the news. Because they're reporting the news is supposed to be from a journalistic view, from a neutral place. So it's supposed to be reported fairly. And I'm glad Snoop Dogg stood up and showed support for Nia in the comments too. You know, we need to show support and help out our sister, you know. But hey, it's boy P Cam. Let me know what you think, what you don't think. Get at your boy.